Halloween 81 is out, and there are a lot of treats on that set, in that set. Also a couple tricks. Post and review soon. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Shaggy. I am the opinionated hippie. Currently ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album released in his lifetime. Started with number 1. I'm going backwards up towards the worst, which shall not be named. And we are currently at number 24, You Are What You Is. Released in 1981. It's a double album, 4 sides of songs, like no jams, no like lengthy improv. There was one instrumental which has a really interesting story behind it, but it's mostly like 3 to 4 minutes, sometimes 2-minute songs that, because it's Frank, segue directly into one another. Each side had its own feeling, has its own kind of vibe. When Frank released it as a CD, he did a little bit of editing so that some of those sides would bleed into each other, as they naturally did not do on the vinyl. But either way, it's a good listen. And I think recently, at least if you get it on streaming, I'm pretty sure the original like breaks and silence and a guitar solo, which was edited out, has been returned. So when this first came out and when I first got into it, I loved it. It was one of my all-time favorites. It has slipped over the years just because of some of the material on the latter half. When I started this project, I made a blind list of 1 through 56, or I think whatever it is, without re-listening to them. And then as I've gone through the numbers, I've re-listened. And this has slipped from like, I think it was 17 originally. It's now on 24. Some things past it. And I realized I just don't like a couple of these songs, and that hurt it. But the band is the 1980 Summer Band, which we don't have anything, we don't have like a full show from them yet. This is one of the overlooked periods that the ZFT has not properly addressed. It's with Steve Vai's first outing, first outing. Barrow is on bass, but David Logaman is on drums. And then you get Ike, Ray, you get Ed Mann, Tommy Mars is still around. But the Logaman, Vai, Barrow, that combo, this is their only like full time to be out there together. So that's interesting. And I think the keyboards, I think it's just Tommy Mars. There might be another keyboard player on here, but there's a whole bunch of guest musicians on here. Denny Wally comes back, Jimmy Carl Black is on it, Moon Unit is on it at the end. So it's a fun album. Ahmet is on it. So it's a really fun album, but it's not one of those heavy musical hitting albums, though the songs are typical Frank songs in that they're complex and there's some weird, tempo shifts and some really neat sort of written parts to close out songs that make it an album that's worth revisiting over and over and over again. It is, in a weird way, a clearinghouse album. There's a number of tracks on here that have been around for a while. And Frank has resurrected them and inserted them and given them new life. And this is an album that would dominate his set list for a while. It's kind of weird that this hit 24, and I'm doing this right when Halloween 81 came out, because Halloween 81 is very heavy on You Are What You Is tracks. So anyways, the sides. 4 distinct feelings for each one. The first side is probably the most disjointed of them. Opens up with Teenage Win, which is kind of just your straightforward pop song. It's about teenagers. It's got a great Grateful Dead reference, which I love, even though I never have tightened my hairband for an extra rush during Jerry's guitar solo. That's followed by Harder Than Your Husband. Jimmy Carl Black returns to sing yet another country song, and it's a good country song. Doreen is just a Ray White sing your butt off rave up with some great just squealing guitar in the background primarily, so it's like a jam with some vocal dynamics over it. Goblin Girl is your typical Frank reggae, sort of like Goblin Girl from A Mystery World, playing with the Halloween theme. And then the most interesting track on the album is, I'm going to get the title right because I'm not good with this, is the theme from the third movement of Sinister Footwear, which is a guitar solo from the 1978 Halloween, not Halloween, but the 1020, I think it's 1027. It's one of the shows prior to Halloween that opened the show. Frank had Steve Vai transcribe the solo, and I think it's Vai, Ed Mann, maybe a keyboardist playing that solo as the song. So the solo has now become an instrumental song proper, and that's side 1, and it's just a great, great side of music. Side 2 is essentially another suite of songs that's about like small town life essentially, and people in the small town. It's you got Society Pages, I'm a Beautiful Guy, Beauty Knows No Pain, Charlie's Enormous Mouth, Any Downers, and Conehead. And they all run together. In fact, towards the lyrics of each one kind of anticipate the next song, so it kind of has this momentum going forward all the way through the end. And several of these songs had been around for a while, at least musically or lyrically, and this was the first time when they actually had appeared in like pure song form. Little bits of I'm a Beautiful Guy can be heard on Chicago 78 in the Paroxysmal Splendor Jam. I think that's what it's called, Paroxysmal Splendor. And anyways, the jam that follows Little House I Used to Live in. Any Downers, pretty sure I have a 74 fall tape in which they start to jam that at the end of I think it's at the end of a Montana. It might be a More Trouble. They just kind of go into that, and Napoleon makes up some lyrics. Then on Joe's Camouflage, which are rehearsal tapes from the Fall 75 band that never toured. It's a band that had Denny Wally and Bosio and Napoleon Murphy Brock. Trying to think who else was in there. But that band actually never hit the road because Denny Wally wasn't in it. But they do a cover of Any Downers. And then finally it appears here. And then Conehead was the name of an instrumental song that you can be here on Halloween 77, which does not sound the same as this, but nonetheless, we now get Conehead, which is the lyrics are about the SNL skit. Side 2 is phenomenal. The first half of this album, almost perfect. Had it been a single album and this was it, much, much closer to number 1 on my list. Side 3 and 4 is where it starts to get a little problematic and not as exciting. Only 4 songs on side 3 because there was a really nice guitar solo at the end of the last one, which got edited out of the CD so that the CD would fit on one CD. For shame, Frank. But it's You Are What You Is, which Frank drops the N-word. Not sure I was ever cool with that. Not cool with it now. It's kind of a boring song. Ray gets some really nice vocals in, but not sure you can save it. Mud Club, which I just don't like Mud Club. Frank does his sing talk thing in there. He's got some weird voice distortion. Don't like that. Meek Shall Inherit Nothing. I like that song. That also can be heard back on Chicago 78. That song had been around since the Fall 78 tour. And then Dumb All Over, which is kind of a rap song almost, but with a really good guitar solo. And again, it's Frank kind of being preachy, and it works well in a live context when it pops up every once in a while. But for the most part, other than the guitar solo, side 3 of this is kind of rough. And then side 4, I love except for one song. So side 4 starts with Heavenly Bank Account, which I like. It's just kind of a gospel, making fun of religion type number. It's pretty cool. Suicide Chump, I just don't like. It's a blues song. This also appeared way back in 78. Denny Wally, there's a lot of blues songs in Frank's catalog that Denny Wally is kind of responsible for because, he had that awesome slide blues licks that he would play. Don't like the song. Kind of just makes fun of people who commit suicide. It's kind of, I don't know, it's always been kind of rough. And the solos in it live are usually like rotating solos where everybody just gets, 8 bars to shine or 4 bars. It's not that interesting. But then you get Jumbo Go Away, wonderful song musically, which has horrible lyrics, another Denny Wally influence. Apparently it's a story about how Denny Wally used to hit women. Sucks lyrically, even though it is based on a true story. Musically, it is phenomenal. I wish Frank would have rewritten the lyrics and done this, because musically it is great. If Only She Woulda, which is a Doors tribute, which is phenomenal. The keyboard work on that, it sounds like the Doors. Great song. And then Drafted Again, which is just a really fun way to end the album. So really, side 3 is weak, but I can tolerate it. I hate Suicide Chump. So kind of that little group lowers this album, but 1, 2, and the second half of 4 are phenomenal listens. And they're all over Frank. They're on You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore. They're on Halloween 81. You can't avoid them. So you might want to check this album out. I hope you enjoy it if you do. But yeah, You Are What You Is, number 24. Check it out. All right, that's it. Bye.